The big opportunity, I think, is trying to have less friction, but enhancing the number of checks that you perform on the customers. You can have technology, AI and automation and tools that can tackle both at the same time.
Hi, and welcome to Mission Ops Possible, a podcast for and by operation leaders. I am Guillaume, the head of marketing at Forest Admin. At Forest Admin, our team and our solutions are fully dedicated to operations. So we created a podcast fully dedicated to operations too. In each episode, I invite a different operation leader to speak about their vision, their tips, and their stories in the trenches. And on that front, today's guest is not going to disappoint. My guest today is Maxime de Juniac, who is Chief Service Officer at Swan. Hi Maxime, how are you today?
Good, Guillaume. Thanks for inviting me. Glad to be here.
My pleasure. So, Maxime, let's start with talking a little bit about you before you joined Swan.
So before Swan, I worked in business strategy and product for operations, and then joined Swan to lead operations at Swan. So I spent many years working on business strategy, innovation. I learned a lot, enjoy doing some deep analysis and insights for company, but I also realized there that I wanted to be in the action and not only in projects that had an ending date. That's why I joined the scale-up companies where a lot of things were happening. I was running products for the operations of a quick commerce company, so Frishti, which was acquired by Gorilla, which was acquired by Getir. So I was building the tech for the delivery operation, the rider assignment, the dark store management, the supply chain management of this very operational and fast scaling company. Obviously, they were scaling very fast, but they also failed very fast as the business model was not the best. And then I joined Swan to lead, which is very much a tech-centric company, to lead operations.
Okay, so what I know about Swan is that you talk about being like a bank as a service. So what's the mission? What's your pitch?
Yes. So at the core of Swan, we are doing banking, right? Banking for businesses mostly, so small and medium businesses that are going to use our core features, which are having a payment account, using a MasterCard card, being able to do payments like transfer, direct debits, and receive also payments. But the twist is that we are white labeled. We distribute these payment accounts through a set of partners, most of them being a software company that want to embed banking features. This is why we are embedded banking specialist. They want to embed the banking features into their interface, into their product, under their own brand, and through their own product, distribute the Swan accounts.
So you're like a bank that wouldn't have a branch in the street, like you are an invisible bank.
Exactly. We have many branches, which are partners. We have around 150 partners today. They can be SaaS softwares, SaaS businesses like doing accounting, doing invoicing, doing HR platforms, and that they want to embed banking features onto these platforms so that these tools become smarter, become smoother, and become like all-in-one platforms for the small and medium businesses users that are going to work on this platform, and they don't have to go to multiple interface like going on the accounting interface and then going to a banking interface. They can do all in one,
right?
Thanks to Swan and through the partner of Swan.
So you were talking about partners. So how many partners do you have today? Like, and how many users of Swan do you have today?
Yes. So today we operate across Europe. We have over 150 partners, and our sweet spot is really this B2B software platform for which the end customers are small and medium businesses. And one of our standard partners, for instance, is Pennylen, so the Spanish accounting software, who recently announced, I think it was on Monday this week, $2 billion valuation, which is a huge milestone, and they use Swan to embed banking into their accounting platform so that their users can pay invoices, can manage accounts, can reconcile also the invoices and the expenses with the transactions all in one place.
Okay, right. And how many people are you now at Swan? And especially like in operations?
Yes. So at Swan today we are 280 people. And in operations we are 70 FTEs. When I joined 18 months ago, the size of Swan was maybe around 170 in total. So we nearly doubled, but the growth for operation has been bigger because we started from 20 FTEs now 70 FTEs to manage the scale and the increasing volumes that we see today. Yeah.
Awesome. Also saw that Swan recently raised another round of funding. Does this mean like more operations people or more changes for operations as well?
Yes, absolutely. So we raised an additional round in January this year. So 3 months ago, and in total reaching over 100 million euros in funding. And I think we want to do multiple things, but of course, we really want to grow across more countries and get more partners. We want to build product features to really become the best neobank for businesses. But most importantly, we want to use this funding to scale the end customer acquisition and retention of our partner companies. Our partner companies have hundreds of thousands of customers, and sometimes for the big one, only tens of thousands of them are actually using a Swan account on this platform. So there is plenty of potential to push end customer acquisition through our existing partners and become the biggest neobank for businesses with the indirect distribution channel. Of course, we will invest also into our core banking system, which we have and provide to our partners. And we are also a licensed, regulated financial institution. And as part of this, we need to build the system and to protect our end customers, to protect our partners from against fraud, against money laundering, to comply also with the regulation. And we invest a lot of this money into building this financial crime fighting platform.
All right, I think that you're getting right into the middle of the next question I wanted to ask you, which was you're a fintech, and I've been talking to other fintechs as well, and it's a tough job because you have to juggle between customer satisfaction and compliance. And what do you think are the biggest challenges as a fintech today, and how do you deal with this?
Yes, so actually at Swan, so we have indeed this tech, so these features that we provide through API to our partners, but we actually don't only sell this technology, we also sell our license and our services, our operations. And these operations, they are a lot about serving customers, but also executing these anti-money laundering processes, these processes to fight fraud. So we have a KYC, so all these processes to know that are the customers when they're on board. It's a requirement from the regulator, but it's also very necessary to not onboard fraudsters. And we need to also review the activity of the account, the transactions that can happen and that can be suspicious. And this is the biggest challenge that fintech companies deal with today when they scale. So to scale fast, we need to really limit the customer friction. So to make sure the onboarding goes very fast, that we don't, ask too many things from the customers directly. We also want to avoid to do some very unscalable operational tasks because we know that if we onboard customers faster, we will have a higher chance that they will use our payment account, that they will order a card, they will make payment, will bring us revenue. But if we start to be successful, also we have a lot of fraudsters that hear about our partners, that hear about us, and that want to onboard with Swan. So we kind of need also to make sure we have the sufficient level of friction and the processes internally to identify them and refuse their onboarding. So finding the right balance between customer friction and checks against fraud, against money laundering is the key challenge. If I take one example and I take, for instance...
I love examples and stories, so go for it.
Yeah, no, but I can take an example, even taking, imagine you, Guillaume, want to create, a podcast making company. So most likely you will be a legit company, but it's also possible that a fraudster wants to use this activity as an activity to open an account that will then be used to receive money from fraudulent activities. An example of something that we could do that might not be very scalable could be that we could ask an operational analyst to go online and check all your podcasts and listen to them. And of course, if they exist, if they make sense, will probably mean it's a very good sign that you are a legit business. So it's this type of investigation that KYC analyst will do. We also check, of course, all your documentation with the shareholder of the company, who runs the company, your identity documents, all these things to make sure they're legit. It's a virtual shell company.
We'll get back to that, but I think one interesting point as well is that you have to be extra careful because you are not doing the customer acquisition. It's your partners who are actually getting their customers or the prospects in your onboarding funnel. And does that mean that you have to take extra care of these? Do you have also to rate partners in terms of like the type of profile they get in?
Absolutely. Depending on the end customers that we get, their risk profile can depend on their acquisition channel. So acquisition channels from the partners, because themselves have different acquisition channels and they share the information with us. So if it's purely someone that comes from digital marketing, sometimes there can be a higher proportion of them that can be suspicious. If it's someone who comes from your sales channel that already had the contact with your sales team, the sales team of the partner, it's much more likely that it's a legit business. And of course, depending on the partner, depending on their businesses, we also can adapt the way we do the onboarding, the way we monitor the transactional activities of the customer afterwards. Of course.
And flip side to that, like, what do you see are the biggest opportunities for fintech today, at least from, I would say, your point of view in operations?
Yes. So the big opportunity, I think, is the flip side of the challenge itself. I think today the challenge of trying to have less friction but enhancing the number of checks that you perform on the customers is that you can have technology, AI, and automation and tools that can tackle both at the same time. So basically, use technology to kind of gather automatically information online and compile it in a way that gives you a lot of relevant information to access your customer and its activity, but at the same time, not requiring to ask anything directly to the customer, at least in the first stage. So AI will play a big part, for instance, and will be a big opportunity for the fintech who are able to really seize it.
And just so I understand correctly and explain that maybe to people who are listening to the podcast. So basically, we're saying like, very, very old school. You can go to the bank to open a bank account and you have to take your passport. Even like if it could be the same thing online, but you're going further, you're also doing a lot of investigations where you don't ask anything to the customer and you would just find it through technology and through what you can find online. Is correct?
That's correct. We can do a lot of things ourselves. So for instance, our customers are mostly businesses. So we're going to go ourselves, get the cabis. We're going to go ourselves, get the document that says who are the shareholders of the company. And we can go also automatically make the comparison between the activity declared by the customer and the activity that is on the cabis. So if I take an example, maybe you will declare, I build podcast for businesses or something. And on your cabis, you will have written marketing company. And we'll be able to confirm that it's a match. And of course, we will filter what you've declared because it's detailed enough. We will also make you do identity verification online with partners that make it very smooth. So basically, you can have a bank account in minutes. If there is no red flag, we will onboard you very fast. And you don't need to go to a branch, of course. And as small businesses, it's really what you would expect.
Yeah. So this brings us to the next point I wanted to ask you is really like, how do you do these things? How do you bring in technology into operations? How do you automate most of those repetitive tasks, but still keep human in the loop for critical decisions or escalation?
Yes. So I think we're trying to find the right balance between using automation and keeping human in the loop step by step. So first, I think we want to really automate 100% what's purely a task, like, going online and downloading the registration documents of a business is something that really doesn't have a lot of value. And it's something we are automating. We want to automate 100%. And we think that we want nearly zero human time on this. Of course, it doesn't always work. And sometimes it's not, it's okay to be able also to do it manually. For instance, we have a big partner in Finland. And of course, for now, we prefer to just go on the Finnish register and buy the registration of our customers directly on this register. But later, probably we'll make it automatic. And then there is another type of tasks. We call them more like the checks and the decision-making tasks for the analyst. That is really about comparing information that is not exactly the same. So like a marketing company versus I produce podcasts for companies. And deciding it's kind of aligned and that it's detailed enough for us understanding the inflows and outflows on your payment account, or analyzing the risk that we have based on a range of criteria, based on who is the partner, based on your phone number, how old it is, and all these type of criteria. Some of them being major criteria, minor criteria, and all these checks we also want to automate them at a high level. But our goal is not 100%. We would like to leverage AI a lot to make these checks for analysts. But whenever there is a doubt, whenever there is a suspicious case, the idea would be to escalate it to a team of experts internally. So it's not the 100% that we reach, but we want to, of course, assist with AI and automate all the easy ones with AI.
Yeah, automation and AI is in every discussion in operations today. I think it would be interesting to me to understand, because that's the kind of tips that I want to have on this podcast. What's your process? We do things manually, then we look at what we can automate, and then we decide exactly how much balance we want to keep between human and AI. Is this correct? Or
Yes.
is this more to it?
Yes, no, this is correct. Basically, we kind of mapped our end-to-end processes and defined the strategy to have some of the tasks being completely productized and automated, and some of the tasks being a mix of automation and human. So whenever it's too complex, it's escalated to an analyst. So that they can make a really specific, custom, ad hoc human investigation. But for 50, 70, 80% of the case, the AI can say it's a go, you can move forward. And so we split this task in two sets. And our goal is to start with limited ambition, with the AI checks. So maybe the AI will just automate 20% of the case and escalating 80% of them. I think it's where we are today with some of our checks. But as we enhance it, the AI will probably process 50, 60%, and the analyst will do 40% of the check. If I keep the example of the podcast company, maybe you will have your phone number. Guillaume, when you onboard, going to be from very new and from a virtual operator, which is very suspicious. It's a big red flag, but then the AI would probably need to say, okay, I have a doubt. I need to escalate to a human team. But if an analyst then really takes a step back and say, okay, it's a podcast company, I'm going to go online, I'm going to listen to the podcast, but not for all the onboarding, just for this one, because there was a real suspicion. And then they will conclude that you are a legit business because you actually have a podcast online. So this is exactly how it would work. Analysts do some quality controls on the AI. They will make the decisions on the harder cases. And they will also do ad hoc investigations. And so their job might become even more and more interesting as they will focus on the more complex parts.
Yeah, definitely. I think a key question today is what happens to people already working in support, service, onboarding type of roles, or even customer success? How does their job evolve with the arrival of AI agents, for instance? And I think you started giving us a few points, but how do you see this evolve really?
Yeah. So I see the analysts evolve into supervisors of AI agents. Basically, they will supervise a system. They will manage a set of the system that will have some automation and some AI agents that will do a lot of the checks. They will, as part of this, there will be a lot of quality control, basically taking a sample of what the machine will have worked on and try to make sure everything is going fine, at least at a very, very high percentage. And they will also continue to be making the final decisions on all the harder case and become seasoned investigators, a bit more like Inspector Colombo type of role, which can be also super interesting. And basically, there will be a bit these two tracks, like acting as a supervisor of a system and of AI agents, and also becoming the escalation point when you really need to take the harder investigations.
Okay. Asking you a hard question, it's not a tricky question. You said you went from 20 people to 70 people in ops to tackle those cases especially. Do you think going forward, you're going to have the same growth in terms of the need of people to help with AI? Or do you think, no, this growth was due to the fact that we are not there yet in terms of automation, and so you still need a lot of manpower, I would say?
Yes. So indeed, we grew the operations, we multiply operations team by 3, but the volume in the background of operations probably was more multiplied by 8 in the same period of time. A lot of it today, in the past 18 months, at least in Swan, was thanks to scaling processes and putting some product features and tech features and no-code ops automation, leveraging also our operational tools. And the next level will be putting into play AI agents that will make checks and decisions. And I think we will continue to grow the ops teams. The next 18 months, we will multiply it by maybe 2, but we hope to grow our number of accounts by 5.
Yeah, say your account or end users to ops people ratio is going to go through the roof, right?
Exactly. It's going to go through the roof, but I strongly believe that we should not forget to really continue to build a very strong team of internal experts, because especially in compliance and fintech regulated industries, we cannot rely 100% on AIs to make all the decisions. And we prefer to
why is that? Is it because you need a fallback or a backup in case something goes wrong with AI, or is this like something mandatory that you have to abide to?
So basically, we don't want to be wrong. We don't really want the AI to say, yes, this check is okay, when actually it's not.
Mm-hmm.
So we need to configure it in a way that works almost all the time. In this scenario, when the AI says everything is fine, the activity is fine, and the analyst would have said otherwise, we would not want this case to disappear.
Mm-hmm.
So we need to set the AI in a way that is very safe and that doesn't go into this scenario. So the flip side of it is that sometimes the AI will going to say, I have a doubt, when the analyst will be able on his side to lift the doubt and can actually accept a transaction or accept a customer to go through. And the way we can do it is like by writing in the prompts to the AI agent. We can just write something like, hey, if you have a single doubt, please escalate to an analyst. We can also set in the AI models, there is a parameter called the temperature, which we can put at a very low value, which means that the AI will have a very limited number of hallucinations and basically will always be very safe. But the flip side of it is that sometimes it will just say, I don't know.
All right, and then you need people.
Exactly, yeah.
So I guess my get for now, I didn't ask you earlier, but would you mind going through your key tools or the key elements in your stack that you use on a daily basis in your teams?
Yes. So our tool stack, we have in Ops is very clear. We have 3 pillars of 3 tools that are driving everything else and on which we build these AI agents. So number 1, we have Zendesk, which is our customer service tool and ticketing tool. 2, we have a flexible back office tool, so Forest Admin, to like visualize data on our accounts, on our transaction, on our users, to make filtered views, create specific workspaces and queues dedicated to our processes. And 3, we have no-code workflow management tools that can enable us to guide analysts through a set of steps and that they have to follow to go through the process. And what you try to do is on these 3 platforms, connect AI agents. We don't want to create a 4th tool. We just want to connect AI agents to these tools where it should make sense. So there is things that we plug to Zendesk, API calls that we make from our no-code tools, and AI that we'll use with our back office tool, Forest Admin, so that it's used at the right place, right where the analyst is. And the beauty of it is that everything in this tool chain can be configured and controlled by the ops team. So we can be very flexible on ops side to build things and to enhance our performance.
So what you're saying, just to be clear, is that the ops team is autonomous on those tools. You don't need to go to the tech team to help you with those tools, right?
Yes, we are very autonomous. Today in Swan, we built a team that is working on these tools, on these 3 tools, to create triggers, to create automations, to connect them with other specific verticalized tools. And we very rarely ask for additional stuff from our product and dev team. Sometimes they will connect a very specific action to our back office tool, for instance, but then the way we'll use it, the way we will propose it to the analyst, we'll put it in a workflow, is going to be on our side. So I really think operational teams nowadays with no code and with these flexible toolings can be very autonomous if they build the right set of capabilities within their team. And I think with AI, it will go to the next level. The ops teams will become fully autonomous and will not at all need any technical capabilities to build their internal tooling.
Would you say that this agility and this autonomy from your team has been a key success factor in terms of driving this ability to scale that you had and that you continue to have?
100%. I think the being agile and being autonomous in ops allows us to go much faster. At once, we are building a core banking system and features for our partners, for our customers, and we need to do it in a right way with very limited number of incidents because it's about money, it's about payment. So the tech team builds a very impressive and great system, but of course does it in a way that is much less agile than what we can do in operations. On operations, we have processes that have a lot of variation depending on the country, depending on the partner, depending on the type of end users. And they change a lot also because we see some fraud, we see some money laundering, we have scale, we have new partners, and we need to adapt very fast. So we try to do everything in ops now. And the next level of this is that not only is going to be the project manager in ops that are going to work on this for the managers, it will be like anyone in the ops team that will now, through AI, be able to prompt in a way that will be like almost coding some small features.
On top of what you said before about AI, like, do you have other safeguards you put in place to make sure that no one is going to go and have a prompt that introduces some risk in the process?
Yes, of course. Today, we are not yet
at this point, yeah.
Yeah, at this point where any analyst can prompt the AI for the core processes. Still a central team in operation that manages this. As time goes by, we could definitely build some capabilities so that for some checks, the analysts could have some flexibility to also require some things from an AI agent. But we need to, of course, safeguard what the AI agent can and cannot do.
Okay. It makes me think, I didn't even ask you how you've set up your team. Clearly, you say there are analysts who can do certain things, but you also have like a core team that can work on the processes. I'd be interested to know exactly what you have under operations.
Yes. So operations, that's one is two groups. So there is some partner-facing teams. So the technical account manager, the customer success manager, the documentation team also that provides documentation on our APIs. And there is the end customer operations team. So the KYC team that onboards new customers, the transaction monitoring team that's going to review the activity on the payment accounts, and especially if there is any alerts on suspicious behavior. If you can start making wire transfer of 70,000 euros every day, there will probably be something to check. And also customer support, of course. And we have a group that we built a year ago called Operations Performance that is in charge of building all these ops automations. The profiles in this team are not at all engineers. They are basically young persons who are just willing to learn, enthusiasts with automation, enthusiasts with AI. And that today, with the set of tools that is available on the market, so whether no-code tools, flexible back-office tools like Forest, a very configurable also customer service tool like Zendesk, and now the ability to just call LLM agents. They just need to have business sense and drive and motivation and willingness to learn to produce a lot of impact for the other teams I mentioned.
It's interesting. So you paint, I think, an interesting profile of who the ops person of the future of these days should be. I think it's probably very different that, if we go back even 5 years, you probably would have said things different. Do you think that with the idea that we're putting less people on the floor who have like very manual work, but we are going to people who are more driving AI or doing this analytics, Inspector Colombo work, as you said, does that change completely the way you recruit or you train your teams?
I would say yes and no. I think it's mostly about the mindset. So the people we want to hire should have, a willingness to learn and enthusiasm for tech and for working alongside technology and alongside artificial intelligence and be willing to test like prompting, etc. But at the same time, the technology that is provided to us now is going to be so accessible that they don't need to have software engineering skills. What really make a difference is that they should have some business sense and customer love skills, and in the way of working, it will still be what's most important, but they should just embrace tech. That will be very accessible for them to play with. And the big difference will be that they will stop asking product and tech to build things for them. The ops teams will just ask product and tech to build things for the customers, of course. But for them, they will be autonomous. And the way we will hire, I think in the future, on top of what we do today, we will just test that the new joiners have an appetite, to learn and to use AI, and maybe are interested to try prompting LLM agents. That will be the main change. Also, he discussed this one a lot in the past few days. There is a memo from the CEO of Shopify that is available on LinkedIn that is really interesting, where he wants to put AI skill in the performance review and in the recruitment interview guide of for every single people in the company.
I think if everyone wants to go further, is like if you want to push for an additional headcount in your team, you need to make the case that an AI cannot do the job, right?
Yes, exactly. He wants to go to this level, and we think it's really interesting. I think we want to, of course, it might be very extreme in some ways, but the principle that he's pushing, I think we want to test this in Swan too, to bring a culture of thinking about AI first, of trying it, of prototyping with AI, of testing this at the interview stage. But once again, I don't think it requires any software engineering skills or even experience, like long experience in the past, because there it's so new that it's not about what you did before. It's more about what you want to do in the future that will matter. And honestly, it can make the operational jobs even more interesting at all levels.
So it makes also even more key this curiosity you were talking about. You need to be curious, need to be eager to learn. To anyone sending a resume to you now, they need to also take care of that aspect, I guess. It's not just about no code or hard skill, but there's also this ingenuity that you need to have, I guess.
Yes, of course, ingenuity can be reflected in the CV, in the where they present themselves, or it can be assessed in the question that we will ask for. But curiosity, ingenuity is what is needed. Honestly, all this, and forest admin is part of this, but you don't need to have any specific hard skills to create the different views and to make a workspace that is adapted to your process. It's the same with an AI agent. When you prompt it, you just need to write in natural language what you want to do. So there is no specific hard skills that are different than before. There is even less, I think, because technology is more accessible to anyone in ops.
Interesting. Does this mean also that internally you have training processes? I guess you have a knowledge base, but how do you make sure that people join you with a certain level of knowledge and then they keep current on what's necessary to do the job?
Yes, so training is always a difficult one because the processes change a lot. So we need to maintain it up to date. So we have a documentation team that is in charge of building these, maintaining consistency across our knowledge base and our new joiners training. And because it's been so hard to maintain everything up to date with the scale, our strategy now is to try to combine the efforts between the training we provide to our partners and the training we provide to our internal employees. We have partners that are in front of the customers, and we built an academy for our partners to train their operations and their support needs, to understand what is banking, what is regulation, what is banking services, what are the concepts around banking, etc., so that they can address the customer questions. And what we're trying to do now is when we build a module for our partners to try to build an internal version for our internal employee, so that they can know at the same level of knowledge and the more private topics around fighting fraud, fighting money laundering, and that's how we think about training today.
Right. 2 or 3 more questions now for you, but more about the future. And I know it's very hard because everything is changing right now, especially with AI. I think like 6 months ago, we're not talking about MCP or agentic AI, but it's going very fast. What would be your projection? What would be your prediction for how fintech operations are going to evolve over the next 3 years, for instance?
Yes. So interesting question. And just to say, what I'm pretty convinced about is what we already discussed, right? The fact that the resources, the analysts, the operators in fintech are going, go from a job which is more sometimes data processor, junior analyst, to more like AI enthusiasts who are more like system controller and seasoned investigators. They will do quality control and they will take the harder decisions. So they will become more experts in terms of the anti-money laundering aspect. And then the question is, where will AI take us? Like, of course, it will enhance the quality of the controls and it will help us to fight everyday fraud because they will be able to do a lot more checks than we are able to do at a human level. And it will be great because legit customers will not see what's under the hood. They will just go through. But at the same time, AI will be used by fraudsters to become more sophisticated and to enhance their fraud techniques. They will even use, the AI to commit fraud, and there will be a battle of who's going to go fast. If I take again the podcast example, maybe they could use AI to create fake podcasts and deep fakes. And if it's not, you don't look at it in details, you will just think, oh yeah, it's a great company. They have like hundreds of podcasts, super interesting. And you will just onboard someone who's going to use the account to move fraudulent money.
Have you seen already things like that you can talk about? Like give us a couple of examples of things where you said, that's a smarter use of AI from our, I would say, opponents on the fraud side.
We've seen it on the document side. So some fake documents. I don't know to which extent AI was used to build documents, but of course they use technology to fake some proofs that we use to confirm the validity of a business. They also use a lot social networks. So we've seen some very interesting Instagram set of stories and Snapchat and TikTok from fraudsters who are trying to recruit other fraudsters to open accounts and detailing step-by-step our flow and explaining how simple it was, and then saying, then you wait for 3 hours and you say, merci Swan or whatever. And it was interesting because they were showing how simple our flow was and how fast our KYC was, which is something we try to achieve, but not for this type of purposes. So they're using social reach out to have news, basically creating accounts for them that will be used after for criminal activities. In terms of the deepfake part, not really. It will grow for sure. If we look at the fraud activity that we see, a lot of them are actually not very sophisticated and kind of easy to identify. They do a lot of spelling mistakes and things that a legit customer would not do. But the fraudsters are going to become more and more sophisticated. Most probably, they can go even faster than the fintech companies that don't invest a lot.
Do you think some of them are actually so sophisticated you didn't catch them yet, or you don't have to answer that?
I don't know. I mean, of course, we have volumes and we onboard a lot of clients, but I think at Swan, FinCram is so important that we are putting every effort and we are much more on the safe side and putting a little bit more friction and a little bit more checks and a little bit of overinvestment to make sure we don't onboard fraudsters. But of course, we also have success and have people trying to create payment accounts for the wrong reasons.
Right. Final question to you. What would be the best tip you can give today to someone joining in Ops?
So the best tip would be to come with a mindset of doer, but also a mindset of builder, and to practice AI prompting. And that if they want a career in Ops, they will need to be tech enthusiasts and know how to use a little bit this tool. They don't need to be a geek or an engineer or software engineer, but they should come with this mindset of, hey, what I want to do is be in the action, do operations, execute well for the customers, make them happy, have a good performance. And but at the same time, they should be open to be also leaders and enjoy it.
Awesome. We're getting to the end of this. I don't know if you have a last word that you want to share with us.
No, thank you very much. I enjoyed a lot to speak with you.
Same, Maxime. I was really eager to have you on the podcast, so I'm really glad that we got you. And thank you very much for those tips, for those stories, for those insights, because I think they really provide value for people who are listening to this. And that's exactly what we're looking for. So thanks again.
Great. Bye, Guillaume. Thank you.
Have a nice day.